What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to follow up on what's been going on over there with FTX, the cryptocurrency market, what Bitcoin's doing, what the rest of the cryptocurrency market is doing, as the sudden insolvency of FTX has sent shockwaves throughout the cryptocurrency market, with Bitcoin currently sitting at 17,500. So in every instance of a Bitcoin bottom coming in for the market, it has been marked by the 50-week and the 100-week moving average crossing themselves. It has been marked by the time the RSI reached down into the 40s levels, bottom was already in. And each time that the MACD flipped down in here in 2015, March of 2015, bottom was already in. Head over here to 2019, February of 2019. By the time we flipped, bottom was already in. And as we can see, we've already had the flip happening here on the monthly time frame, yet we've now set a new low moments after the announcement of the insolvency of FTX and the potential Binance buyout. For people throughout the entire world, it may not seem like a big deal. Here in the United States, this is the big boy exchange. This is the one that has Tom Brady. This is the big sponsors of Major League Baseball. We just had the World Series. Every umpire with big FTX logos slapped right on them. You had FTX in your face at every moment of the World Series, and it just suddenly overnight gone. So as of right now, with these new lows getting set in here, it gets pretty dicey in here, and we don't know what the aftermath is going to be of FTX. One of the things about FTX, if you remember when we had the Luna and the UST collapse, is that FTX was kind of cleaning up a lot of the mess that was left behind after that, right? So what's going to happen to all the mess that they cleaned up now that they're a big, massive mess themselves? What's going to happen to all the lenders, all the third-party counter risk that's involved in all of this? We're just in like the fresh moments of this, of a highly volatile and likely incredibly sketchy situation in the cryptocurrency market. I saw Charles Hoskinson post a video over here last night. I watched it this morning discussing all of this, how this is a bad time for crypto right now. And it's definitely a super uncertain time right now because we don't know if Binance is actually going to help FTX. Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, has already said it would not make sense for them to help FTX. So it sounds like whatever has been going on their balance sheets is not good. And considering we have people like Coinbase just saying, nope, we're already not interested. And then you have Binance being very much kind of like, look, we're going to check it out, but there's no guarantees, which is what he said in his tweet yesterday. He said, to protect users, we signed a non-binding letter of intent intending to fully acquire FTX.com and help cover the liquidity crunch. We will be conducting a full due diligence in the coming days. There's a lot to cover and it will take some time. This is a highly dynamic situation and we are assessing the situation in real time. Binance has the discretion to pull out from the deal at any time. We expect FTT to be highly volatile in the coming days as things develop, because some of the problems that we're running here were that, one, using a token as collateral. So that's what the problem here is that FTX was using the FTT token as collateral. And don't borrow if you run a crypto business. Don't use capital efficiency. I think you meant to say efficiency. Have a large reserve. So, and this is just a good lesson to anybody. Everybody thinks they can go out there and they can use margin, they can use leverage, and that they're going to somehow just strike it rich with that. And you just see time and time again, it doesn't matter how good you are, how good you think you are. You watch what leverage does. Look what margin and borrowing does. It just wiped out FTX in the blink of an eye. When I went to bed yesterday, I was thinking to myself, this was probably the craziest day that we've seen in crypto. Like, this was such a crazy day. It doesn't even seem real. Like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to be recording a video that I had this crazy dream that FTX suddenly just went lights out overnight. And so when I woke up and I looked at my phone this morning, I realized, oh gosh, it actually happened. And so the point being about talking about Charles Hoskinson and his videos putting out was just kind of discussing all the complications that we have with this. This is like, if you remember with Luna kind of happened through these days right in here. This initial like first slam that happened in here. But then what was this one? This is all the fallout from everybody else, right? And it's not like it happened really quickly, right? All the fallout and all the secondary stuff that ended up becoming as a consequence of this took, a good month for it to come out and to settle and to realize what had actually happened. So to sit here 24 hours later after we see FTX go completely under, while the day before he was posting that FTX is fine and assets are fine, which he's now deleted his tweet. But he's out there writing it's a heavily regulated, even when that slows us down. We have GAAP audits with greater than 1 billion in excess cash. We have a long history of safeguarding client assets, and that remains true today. The day before they lose everything. And he's deleted that tweet now. And just like he had deleted the tweet about him kind of calling CZ Binance out on being allowed to go into Washington, D.C. That really kind of got all this going. But I mean, right here, you can see it. It's heavily regulated. Even when that slows us down, we have GAAP audits with greater than 1 billion in excess cash. We have a long history of safeguarding client assets. Let's click on it. Tweets are all deleted. Fortunately, I did take a screenshot of it because I recognized he had deleted it, but it was still pulling up on my screen to be able to have it right here. But you can see all the things that he was saying that, false rumors, client funds are safe, all that good stuff. And then one day later gone. So we keep jumping back to Charles Hoskinson, but he's making the point that, it's a very unknown situation right here, right now, and what's going to come next for the cryptocurrency market, whether it comes to regulations, price actions, who's going to be the third-party counter risks, and then whether or not Binance is actually going to go through with the acquisition or let it completely crumble. So if Binance does not do anything to step in, Charles believes it will be significantly worse. So best case scenario is that Binance somehow can save the day. And what does even saving the day look like at this point right now? Hard to know. So in the current dynamic that we're in the cryptocurrency market, when it comes to price action, of what has happened in the last 24 hours, it's a hard read right now. We have seen that Bitcoin has wicked a new low. Currently, it's still sitting on top of the June low that we put in there. Hasn't had a breakdown just yet, but we watched what happened when the Luna collapse ended up occurring. That was back in here. One thing that was also occurring during that time period, if you remember correctly, was UST collapsed at the same time. What else occurred? We saw Tether depeg. We saw the Tether supply drop. Now, just a week or two ago, we did a video showing how that exact same thing happened in the capitulative ending back in 2018 as well, is that we actually had the same thing happen where the Tether supply dropped and it depegged. By the time it repegged itself and the supply started moving its way back up, and here, by the time we started moving our way back up, the bottom was already in. It's the only other time in history where we have had Tether supply get dropped, and it happened during the capitulative moment of Bitcoin back in 2018. We had the same thing happen, same fractal, same distance from the 200-day moving average. A 63% drop happened in Bitcoin from the 200-day moving average, just clear cut, perfect, almost enough same amount of time has elapsed before a breakout started and the Tether printer started printing up again. What also happened during this time period back in 2018 is that in that capitulative moment, Tether depegged. It's the exact same thing that we had happen over here in May of 2022 this year. Tether depegged. It regained its peg, just like it did back in 2018. The printer started to turn back on slowly, and the bottom was formed. We've done the same thing for several months on end, just as we did back in 2018 and 19. But one thing to take notice that has now happened today is that Tether is doing it again. And it's not just Tether. USDD, the Tron-based stablecoin. USDC over here on CoinTrader Pro, looking okay. Looking over here on Gemini using TradingView, we could say, we're seeing some wicks that they're taking it down a full cent and even got as low as just right there at 99 cents. You zoom out on it, nothing too crazy, but is something also happening with USDC. Heading back to Tether, looking at it over here using TradingView and looking at it for Coinbase, we can see that if you remember, this is the area we were hovering at while we were depegged from $1 for Tether here for a couple of months. This was through, halfway through May, all of June, half of July, and then finally back to $1. Suddenly we're finding ourselves down here again and closing candles down there. So I've got us on the 4-hour candles right now. You can see that there's no closing of candles down here, at least back into September. When is the last time we've had it close down this low where we're at? This would be back in July. And so we're seeing something going on with Tether at the same time. So it's a rapidly evolving situation in here. And we still don't know all the answers for what's going on with FTX. They haven't come out with a statement to say exactly what happened. Everyone's just kind of speculating. That's what we were kind of going through with that video yesterday morning, saying, how much was being borrowed and put on balance sheet, and were they making a flywheel and just kind of creating a token and then using it for collateral, which is what CZ Binance seems to be kind of alluding to. But they haven't come out with a formal statement on what actually happened. Gavin posted this over here on Twitter. I don't have any way to authenticate whether it's true, but it's been circulating around as a letter that he sent to his private equity investors. I'm sorry I've been hard to contact these last few days. I wish I could have been more communicative during this process, but unfortunately I was unable to be. Things were coming together dynamically. I find that weird that there's a typo right there. So I question the authenticity of this, but we've entered into a non-binding agreement with Binance to buy FTX. What does this mean exactly? That's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't have a perfect answer for you because the details are still being hashed out. We'll keep you updated as we learn more over the next few days and weeks. Our first priority is to protect customers in the industry. That's been guiding what we do. We're optimistic that we'll be able to accomplish all of those, which means that we'll soon be focusing on our second priority, our shareholders. Again, I wish I had more details for you guys right now, but I don't yet. I'll give them as they are hashed out. Blah, 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 blah. I'm swamped. I'm busy. Here, contact these people. Still no information. Nothing new posted over here on his Twitter. So a rapidly evolving situation that we just don't know what the counterparty risks are. And I haven't had a formal justification for why Binance is potentially buying them out. They haven't given any type of wording on what actually happened in here. So while we technically haven't seen an actual breakdown happen from Bitcoin just yet, if we use our experiences of what happened with Luna, is that in the first couple of days with Luna collapsing, it was kind of like, yeah, okay, what's going on here? And then things got carried away pretty bad after the several days after that. And then given a month, it became, the big fallout from everything that occurred from there. So to say if we're going to repeat that once again, I don't know. I'm not on the inside loop of what's happening with all of those, but that's the complication of the scenario that we're in right now. Will we repeat third-party counter risk liquidations, insolvencies beyond FTX? That's what Charles is alluding to as well, from my understanding of what he's saying as well. And so it's just kind of a wait and see. It hasn't been a big breakdown yet, right? Like Bitcoin, yeah, technically it has wicked these lows. If you had to guess what's going to happen next, it's, it just depends on which poison you're going to pick, right? You're going to pick that we're going to repeat a situation of like what we had with Luna, and then everything else is the dominoes will fall after that. Or will Binance save the day? Is that even possible for Binance to save the day? Are we just seeing the beginnings of USDT depegging, USDC depegging? Or is this like our C19 sell-off that we had where we set our bottom, but then we went and slammed it one more time? And it's just, everybody throwing their papers in the air. So it's a very difficult situation right now, especially with it being such a short amount of time. But definitely an uneasy time in the market and a sketchy time in the market. But still the breakdown hasn't happened yet. Even looking at Ethereum, the breakdown hasn't happened yet. It's technically just kind of retraced this level. It has not gone beyond retracement levels. There's no new low setting over here for Ethereum just yet. Like we've been talking about with XRP, we talk about with Dogecoin, is Wyckoff accumulation, breakout, pull back into the sign of strength. Look where it pulls back into. It slams right back into the sign of strength area. If that's true, what would that say? That would say that's the bottom for Doge right there. If that's the bottom for Doge, is that the bottom for Bitcoin? Is that the bottom for everything else? It's hard to know because things are moving so rapidly, but it was a technical perfect pullback. And well, for those who like trend lines, which I'm not a giant trend line person, but you take a look at where you just slammed back into, you had your big massive breakout happen in there, and then there's your pullback back test. So like in a normal environment, in a completely normal environment, I'd be sitting here screaming, that's the bottom of Doge. That was it. We got it. It was textbook. That is legitimately exactly what we were looking for to happen in here. We got an absolute textbook, perfect nail, right back to where we wanted. And any day of the week, I'd be sitting there saying, boom, nailed it. And so that adds a little bit of a complication to it all of being like, well, is Bitcoin going to break down? Is this going to get invalidated? Is this just going to crumble on itself? I mean, in the midst of the chaos, it perfectly nailed it. And that's a complication you have there. Is that you got some technical things that are still okay. Like this is technically exactly what you would look for to happen over here on Doge. On Ethereum, still just working out the retracements. Nothing really broken. Bitcoin has wicked some new lows happening in there. Is it stop loss chasing? Is it stop loss hunting? Hard to bet on that when this event is so fresh, and when we know what happened with Luna, and we know what happened with UST. So, I think it's going to kind of have to be, everybody's own intuition, right? What do you think? You have a couple of things that, from a technical perspective, look okay. But we know that we're dealing with an event of the magnitude of as if we were just kind of in the starting point right in here. And we're starting to see things that happen just like that. What did we have? We have a giant entity go bust. The FTT token goes completely bust. It's taken Solana down with it because they have a bunch of it on their balance sheet too. And just like with Luna, just like with UST, when they collapsed, boom, what's happening with Tether? It's losing $1 again. And in those moments, what happened? Things still got dicey. Will that repeat again? I don't know. Is this the final flush out of the big entities? That's what Charles Hoskinson thinks. He says, at least the good news is we're kind of at the end. There's not a whole lot more for there to be flushed out. And while FTX was using FTT for collateral, at least Binance is out here saying we've never used BNB for collateral, and we've never taken on debt. So Binance at least isn't exposed to that, according to them. And here we go. CZ Binance just released a statement. Let's go ahead and read this together. In the spirit of transparency, might as well share the actual note sent to all Binance team globally a few hours ago. Binanceans, given the events that transpired over the last couple of days, I want to reiterate a few points. 1, we did not master plan this or anything related to it. It was less than 24 hours ago that SBF called me, and before that, I had very little knowledge of the internal state of things at FTX. I could do some mental calculations with our revenues to guess theirs, but it would never be very accurate. I was surprised when he wanted to talk. My first reaction was he wants to do an OTC deal, but here we are. 2, as the due diligence for the deal is ongoing, I want to remind everyone, do not trade FTT tokens. If you have a bag, you have a bag. Do not buy or sell. As soon as I finished the call with SBF yesterday, I asked our team to stop selling as an organization. Yes, we have a bag, but that's okay. More importantly, we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard than even in banks. 3, obviously, do not comment on the deal publicly or internally. Remember, this is a message that he sent to employees of Binance. So this is being shared publicly, but this was a message sent out to their employees. So they were saying 3, obviously, do not comment on the deal publicly or internally. If you are not directly involved, don't ask. We have got a good team handling it. Things will play out. 4, FTX going down is not good for anyone in the industry. Do not view it as a win for us. User confidence is severely shaken. Regulators will scrutinize exchanges even more. Licenses around the globe will be harder to get, and people now think we are the biggest and will attack us more. But that's okay. We are used to being open and leaning into headwinds. In fact, we embrace scrutiny. We must significantly increase our transparency, proof of reserves, and insurance funds, etc. A lot more to come in this area. We have a lot of tough work ahead of us, not to mention prices swinging wildly. 5, speaking of prices, as I've said many times over the years, ignore the prices. Let's keep our heads down and focus on building products people use. It has always worked over the years, and today is obviously no exception. Lastly, I want to say I'm really proud of each and every one of you for all of your hard work as a team. Thank you. We still have many challenges ahead of us. Let's continue to push ahead and help increase the freedom of money all around the world steadily and consistently. And now, CoinDesk just reports in the last 13 minutes, scoop, Binance is highly unlikely to go through with its proposed rescue of FTX official after glancing at crypto exchanges books, according to a person familiar with the matter. And in the minutes after this is released, here we go. You have another new low being set over here on Bitcoin. So highly volatile moment, not bullish looking, very sketchy and happening very fast. And with how much progressed yesterday, I'm pretty sure by the end of today, a whole lot more will progress, not just with price action, but with everything going on with this situation, whether it's with Tether, FTX, Binance, third-party counter risk. It is a crazy day. What a day to be alive. But we'll get through it. And if time forbids, I will do my best to check in with you guys again later today. And if not, over there on Twitter. So watch out when something like this happened last time, which is Luna. It's really the only reference point we have for recent times. Things got very dicey afterwards. I make the comment all the time of puppet masters pulling the puppet strings, magical unicorn fairy dust, God or we're living in a simulation. But CZ Binance says he did not have the intention to do this. He did not plan this out. This was not a strategic move on his end. Take him for his word. Don't take him for his word. It's the reason why I still to this day say, is it magical unicorn fairy dust? Is it puppet masters pulling the puppet strings? Is it God or is it a simulation? Because I have not been able to determine whether or not it's one or the other that causes these things to happen right when they happen, where CZ Binance does it within 24 hours after hitting the 200-day moving average, after not being there for 214 days. Boom, he does it right there. Pure coincidence? Pure luck, pure chance, or was it the puppet masters pulling the puppet strings? Don't know. The last thing we'll talk about before we wrap this thing up is the XRP price chart. As we know, we were looking for it to pull back down into this price level, which is exactly what we got for Doge to pull back down to that price level. But we can see XRP sitting at 36 cents right now. That's a little bit concerning. I really want to see this thing recover in order to have a clear picture on this. It was a very clear Wyckoff accumulation with the breakout. It's the same thing you saw over there with Doge. You can see Doge pulled right back into its sign of strength. But XRP is not holding it currently. It doesn't mean there's not going to be some big recovery, but right now it's on my radar of concern on why it's not holding this level. So we saw the perfect nail over here. We're not seeing it over here right now. And now just in these last, hour, we've seen it really kind of pull down again, once again. So I've got my caution over here on XRP as well. So we'll keep an eye on this throughout the day. At least I'll keep an eye on it throughout the day. If I have time to check in with you guys later on YouTube, I will do my absolute best. Wednesdays are typically busy days for me of things that I do outside of the house, but I will try to check in with you guys if I can, if we get a lot more developments. Otherwise, follow me over here on Twitter at BCBacker. I'll try to retweet things as they do come out. So here we go, guys. Now it's the day after. Time to see what comes next. But all right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.